I'm Ahana.
And I'm Celine.
And welcome to
We Are Podcast. And I'm sure if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the first time you've seen our
faces. It's a face
You
reveal.
have the misfortune of seeing our
But yeah, here we are.
Face reveal. No, wouldn't it be funny if you've never watched episodes before this, so it's not even a face reveal? Like,
yeah, that would be weird.
That would be. But
anyway,
it's supposed to be a face reveal, so.
Okay. So today we're going to be talking about news updates because it is Monday, and we have several news updates that are very important. This week has been pretty eventful.
It has.
So,
we have more news updates this week. We have like 13 instead of like 10 or 12. So
yeah.
We have a lot.
It's really like we have like from assassinations to hurricanes to like NYC elections
to like Pope's colon.
Yeah. Anyway. So let's start off. So our first headline is that Hurricane Elsa is on the path to hit Florida. It actually did land yesterday on June 7th. And it is causing pretty destructive conditions. Yeah,
it's causing severe winds and dreary, like stormy weather. It's really dangerous. All like hurricanes are pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
but it's heading to Georgia, and they just declared a state of emergency, which is pretty huge because it's like they're kind of like, okay, this is dangerous. We're in trouble, you know.
And this hurricane was actually sort of like a smaller hurricane than ones we've seen previously, compared to like last year and other hurricanes. But it's 2 months earlier than normal hurricane season.
Oh, really?
So there's a lot of concern regarding whether this is just the beginning, you know?
Oh, that's.
So a lot of people are extremely concerned that this will just be like the start of like, and then
the start of like a much worse hurricane season than normal. Yeah.
Because in the future, everyone's thinking that since it's so early, when hurricane season actually does strike, we'll have terrible hurricanes.
Oh, yeah. And that's hard. Yeah, and it's predicted to move along the coast, like up to New York and as far as southern Texas.
Yeah.
So the flood risk is really high in Texas and Florida.
Yeah, it's like out of a 5 scale, I think it's a 4 and 5 for some of those areas in Texas and Florida.
And it's moving like 14 miles per hour with a sustained wind speed of 50 miles per hour. So it's, even though it's like not the biggest hurricane we've ever experienced, it's so early on that it's like concerning.
Yeah, and I also think another thing, I actually researched this earlier, is that for an 100-pound person, the wind speed 45 miles per hour would be enough to move them. Whoa. So 50 miles per hour is pretty strong.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
All right, so the next headline we have, are you done with the hurricanes, right?
Yes, that's all I needed to say.
All right, so the next headline we have is about Nicole Hannah-Jones, which she is a very seasoned journalist, and she's done so much work in journalism. She has over 20 years of experience. But recently there has been a big sort of scandal between her and UNC.
Okay. So what happened?
So basically, Nicole Sherry Hannah-Jones, she's an American investigative journalist, and she is known for her coverage of the civil rights in the USA, which like basically regarding slavery and stuff like that. And she was being reviewed to become a professor at the University of North Carolina, which is a very prestigious university.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And she loved UNC since she was a kid. It was kind of like her dream to work there.
Yeah, it's like it was like a person that she looked up to, but it was a school.
Yeah, it was kind of like her dream school. And she even described like being a professor there would be like a homecoming in a sense.
That's so sweet.
But after review, the first time, she got denied tenure.
Really? Why?
So tenure is basically like a permanent position until you retire.
Yeah. It's kind of granting you like the right to like work in a workplace until you retire.
Yeah.
Until you decide to retire. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Continue.
So she got denied tenure, and she was given like a 5 years of sort of like working there guaranteed until the end of the 5 years, and then at the end of the 5 years she could be re-reviewed for tenure. And this was super shocking to everyone because it was super upsetting because no professor previously has been denied tenure.
Yeah. And it's a woman and she's African American.
Yeah. So, and I think she also said that her work in the 1619 Project for the New York Times, which was about how slavery started in the U.S. In 1619, she said that her political views, they discriminated against her because of them.
Oh, and so what were her political views of that time?
Yeah, I think, so a lot of the, like funders for that specific journalism school that she was going to be a professor in, they were very conservative and they did not like how she explained and sort of demonstrated how slavery affected the U.S. And they thought it sort of like went against like patriotism in a sense.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of pushed against her being a professor with tenure.
Oh,
so she got denied it. But after so much protest from the faculty, from the student body, from across the nation, they re-reviewed it, and eventually on June 30th, they decided to give her a tenure. The Board of Trustees decided to give her tenure in a vote from 9-4.
Okay, but she chose Howard University,
which is pretty shocking.
Over UNC.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think it makes sense though, because they denied her in the first place.
Yeah, definitely.
And she said she was embarrassed by getting denied, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Like if they denied you first, I understand that.
Yeah, I think she actually said in an interview that every other chair before me, who also happened to be white, received that position with tenure. Right. And so to be denied that and to only have that vote occur on the last possible day, at the last possible moment, after threat of legal action, after weeks of protest, after it became a national scandal, it's just not something that I want anymore. So she chose Howard eventually.
Yeah, so she chose Howard. So I think her decision makes sense. But
it does.
It's kind of, people are talking about it a lot in like, because she chose Howard over UNC, which is a pretty big deal. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so Howard University is actually like a historically black university.
Where is it? Do you know where it's located?
I'm pretty sure it's located somewhere on the East Coast.
Okay.
Don't know quite where, but...
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. And she's also going to be joining another seasoned journalist, Ta-Nehisi Coates, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, who is also a fellow award recipient. He's a recipient of the MacArthur Genius Grant, and she will also found a new center for journalism and democracy. The university announced. So pretty good. I hope she's doing well, and I hope she does great things there.
Yeah, and I think she will. Okay, so the next topic we are going to talk about and discuss is actually kind of a big, huge thing everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
The president of Haiti has been assassinated.
That is insane.
Yeah, I know. And any assassination is just, especially of like such a like big political leader and like symbolic of the Haiti. So this, as of June 7th, the president of Haiti, his name was Jovenel Moise. He was assassinated.
Yeah.
So
I think it was shocking to so many people because in Haiti's in Haiti's history, there hasn't been an assassination for up to 100 years prior to his assassination, and there's only been 3 assassinations total in the entire history of Haiti.
And I think one of the large reasons he was assassinated is because he was a controversial leader.
He was very controversial.
Yeah, he faced a ton of protests. There was increased gun and gang and police violence, and the coronavirus pandemic sparked like a lot of upset, and like
definitely
people kind of got mad at him, or like
as of June 7th, actually, the killers, they haven't been identified, but he did have many political opposition.
I
think some like key point to this is that he was shot in his own home.
Oh,
yeah.
No way.
He was killed in his own home.
Because, like, Abraham Lincoln, that goes way back, but he was killed in a movie theater, so at least,
Yeah, I feel like being killed in your own home is kind of...
There's something, like, so, like, wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's wrong anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it doesn't matter where it is. But there's something so, like, that person really must have hated him,
I think, actually, I have a theory that he was probably hired by, like, political opposition.
Oh, possibly, yeah. And the report states it was methodical and very planned. There was a lot of, like, planning happening before then. So.
And his wife also got injured.
Really?
Yeah, she's injured.
That's
and
sad.
It's sad.
So we're hoping the attackers will be identified soon.
And we hope there will be justice for. I mean, because it doesn't matter how wrong he did. Right? You don't deserve to be shot.
You can disagree with a leader. You can disagree with someone's political views and the way they go about like leading a country.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can just use violence and assassinate them.
Yeah.
Because that's like you can share your opinion about it and maybe speak out against how you disagree. You don't have to agree with everything they do, but definitely they don't deserve to die because you disagree with them, you know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are just shocked because it hasn't happened in so long. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on it.
And I think you don't hear about that as much now. I mean, it happened with, like I said, Abraham Lincoln, but you don't hear about it as much now. So now that we've discussed that, next topic is the ex-South African president Jacob Zuma handed himself over to police. So he was the ex-president of South Africa. He served from 2009 to 2014. He was the fourth president. And he will begin a 15-month prison sentence. So he was sentenced to prison for contempt.
What is contempt?
Yeah. So contempt is like when you are disobedient or disrespectful to a court of law. Okay. So like if you disobeyed their orders to like come to the court, something like that. So he defied a court order to testify about widespread allegations of corruption when he served as president.
Okay. So basically they're accusing him of corruption and he's just like...
Yeah, they wanted him to come so they could question him and he never came. Right? Okay. So, but the police gave him a deadline to arrest him by Wednesday, and like minutes before the deadline, he left his home and handed himself over to authorities. So, basically what happened, kind of why he has a prison sentence. So allegedly he allowed some of his associates, members of the Gupta family, to influence his cabinet member appointments and contracts. And there were like, allegedly there was like corruption involved. And the court called him to question him. He didn't listen to the court, so he was charged with contempt.
What do you think would have happened if he didn't turn himself in?
If he didn't turn himself in?
Yeah.
I think they would have just come to his house, right? I think he would have gotten arrested either way.
Okay.
But I think him choosing to like go to the authorities instead of them coming there is kind of his way of saying like, yeah, I did something wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think that was kind of like everyone was kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. So actually a lot of his supporters gathered around his house and they vowed that they would protect him and not let the arrest happen, but then they left on Sunday. So they tried, you know, he had some supporters, but yeah. So Zuma tried a lot to like postpone the prison sentence. Like his lawyers requested his prison sentence be suspended until Friday, and they asked the Chief Justice to issue directives to stop the police from arresting him. But in the end, he has a 15-month prison sentence, and
that's that story. I mean, sucks for him, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I mean, 15 months, it's like over a year. It could be worse. It could be worse.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually, if it was America and that happened, I feel like his prison sentence would be much.
Or I feel like it wouldn't even, it might just be like probation or like community service.
Yeah.
But
anyway, next topic is about vaccinations. So we've been talking a lot about vaccinations recently. They're opening up to a much larger variety of age group, individual age situation type.
Professional.
But anyway, Biden is very concerned about and also Dr. Fauci, who is like the leading
he's like the isn't he in the head of CDC or something?
Yeah, he's the head of the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control.
Yeah, so they've been on top of the coronavirus since the beginning.
Yeah, and he's like the top guy. He's like the main dude, you know?
Yep.
And I watched actually a briefing with him earlier this morning on June 8th that he and his team was actually saying that they're really concerned about the new Delta variant, which we've talked about.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. Yeah.
And along with that comes vaccinations. So as many of you probably know, Biden was actually, he wanted to vaccinate 70% of American adults by July 4th, 4th of July, Independence Day.
So did he fall through that goal? Did that happen?
Not quite, but he was almost there. Actually, 67% of people.
That's pretty good though. I mean, although it's not his goal, it's really good.
I feel like that's good for a country. He didn't quite reach that goal.
I mean, it's hard though to get 70% of the population.
It is hard.
So yeah, it's a good job. Well done.
Yeah. And I also think a lot of that has to do, actually a study came out, a lot of that has to do with sort of the younger age group, which is shocking.
Really?
Because I think,
surprising.
like, you would think probably that, like, the younger age group would get them more because they're more, like, I feel like there's actually studies been done that the younger kids are more liberal, per se.
Yeah. So 18 to 29 is the main age group where there's, like, very low levels of vaccination. Yeah. And that's surprising to me.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, is there hesitancy? Like, what's happening? But I've actually listened to, like, several podcasts, and what they said was this age group, it's not that they're hesitant as much as they're more like, we think we're invincible.
They just don't care.
They just don't care.
Yeah.
They think that since they're young and they're healthy and they're, fully grown, they don't need it.
The coronavirus can affect anyone.
It definitely can.
Especially with the new variant.
Definitely. That's what I was just
because
about to mention.
I think we said this, it's more dangerous for younger individuals than the Delta variant.
Than the other one.
Yeah.
And
so
it's super contagious too.
It is. Spreads really quickly. And the vaccination rate for the age group of 18 to 29 is only 8%.
So, like, they make up 8% of the total thing, and that's crazy.
Yeah, but they also have 23% of COVID cases, according to CNN.
Yeah, so those
two statistics right there do not match.
They do
not work. Or, like, you know what we're saying.
Not at all. Like, if they're causing 23% of corona
which
cases,
is almost a quarter of the cases.
Yeah, right? They should be vaccinated at least 23%.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're not, and so the sense of invisibility, people are trying to
invincibility.
Yeah,
not invisibility.
Sorry. The sense of invincibility that they have, they're Biden and Fauci and people all across the nation are trying to work to make that age group sort of understand the consequences it could bear.
And there are a lot of, like, I know there are, like, rewards for getting vaccinations now. A lot of workplaces give rewards too, so I think that does kind of give an incentive.
I think another thing that's really important to mention is that actually really recently a lot of colleges have been requiring vaccinations. I think that's also going to be helpful.
Yeah, that's going to be for sure helpful. Because if you require it, it has to be done. So
and
if you
a lot of people want to go to college.
Yeah. So if you want to go to that specific college, you have to get vaccinated. Okay. And it's to protect the teachers, the professors, the kids. Yeah. Okay.
So our next headline is that New York City honors its essential workers with the parade, which is the first official parade hosted since the start of the pandemic.
The pandemic. That's really cool. I like that they're doing that. And I think there's so many people that we just overlook, right?
Definitely.
They've worked so hard during this pandemic to, like, hand out vaccinations, to tend to sick people, even though it's putting themselves in danger, right? Because it's a pandemic, they could get sick. So they're very brave, and they've helped our community in so many ways. So we just want to thank all of those people, like healthcare workers, hospitals, community cares, just all that entire, like, category of people who have worked through this.
Yeah, and I think New York City and New York in general is also has, like, one of the hardest times with corona.
Oh yeah, I heard that. There were a lot of hospitalizations.
Yes, definitely. Especially. So they've had a very difficult time, and they're kind of paying it forward with the Hometown Heroes Parade, which is really great.
Yeah, so all those workers.
I think a lot of people are so inspired. Like, I saw yesterday, there were several news websites were posting about how, like, the kids of essential workers were like, this is why I want to be a doctor, or this is why I want to be a nurse.
So sweet.
I think it also kind of inspired me to go into medicine too.
Yeah, I think it inspired a lot of people because their bravery and their resilience through this pandemic.
And just the notion that you can really save someone's life.
Yeah, you can.
That is
You can.
insane.
You can totally change, save people's lives. It's a really amazing job.
Yeah.
Those people are really amazing. So
So some of the things that have been on, or the people that have been honored, are people that work in healthcare, hospitals, emergency food, community care, first responders, transportation, city workers, small businesses, education and childcare, utilities, hospitality, buildings, sanitary reinforcements, advocacy, and communication and delivery.
Yeah, so a whole ton of different workers, first responders, so a lot of different groups of people that have really worked really hard.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now we will talk about Eric Adams. So Eric Adams won the New York City Democratic mayoral primary.
Okay.
So that's cool. He didn't win, he didn't become mayor, but he won against the other Democratic candidate.
Yeah.
So he was actually a former police captain.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, and he actually apparently grew up in poverty. He grew up, so that's really interesting.
I think that's good because if he's mayor, then he has a lot of perspective on that.
Yeah, I think having perspective of what it's like to live as a citizen and live in poverty really helps you, like, direct your change or direct your leadership to help those people.
Yeah.
So, he is now going to run against Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa,
I think.
Sliwa,
whatever.
Yeah, in November. So, So he made curbing crime his main focus, and he's a moderate Democrat, by the way. But he also wants to end racial injustice within, like, the police system.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think that's very
important.
He has some really good things and goals that are attainable. I think they're definitely attainable, but they're hard too. So I'm glad he's working towards those. And he ran against Catherine Garcia, and he won with over 8,400 votes.
Okay.
So there are still small amounts of votes that haven't been counted yet, but it's clear that he's the winner.
Yeah.
Because even if all the votes that haven't been counted were counted, you
should have said. Projected to become the mayor because Democrats outnumber Republicans 7-1 in New York.
Yeah.
Very likely.
Yeah. So there was actually a different type of voting system this time for the mayor primary. Yeah. So voters ranked up to 5 candidates in order of preference.
Okay.
So candidates with too few votes were eliminated. So it was the city's first experience with that voting system. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. And Adams said, quote, "While there are still some very small amounts of votes to be counted, the results are clear. A historic, diverse 5-bureau coalition led by working-class New Yorkers has led us to victory in the Democratic primary for mayor of New York City." So that's really cool.
It's awesome.
Exciting. It's exciting.
All right. That wraps up our first half.
Yeah.
After the break, we'll be talking about a lawsuit with Trump, Biden's family's plan, the Pope and his colon surgery, a couple of shootings that have happened, and a Pentagon situation. So stay tuned.
Yeah. All right.
See you. Welcome back from
Hello.
the break.
Welcome.
Oh wait, we don't even have a break on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, you won't see a break. But if you are watching it on Spotify or something.
Exactly. All right. So in the second half, we're going to be talking about some interesting things, including Trump's lawsuit, Biden's family plan, Pope's colon. We've said that like 50 times.
Anyway, let's just dive in.
Let's dive into the
Okay, anyway.
You don't want to hear us start singing. It's not going to be good. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so a class action lawsuit. Oh, wait. Let me give you the headline first. Okay. So, Trump says he's filing a class action lawsuit against Twitter, Facebook, and Google. So, first of all, what is a class action lawsuit? So, a class action lawsuit is where one side, like the defendant or the plaintiff, the one pressing charges, or the one who's being charged, is represented by a member or members of the group. Basically.
Okay.
So, former President Donald Trump was banned from Twitter, Facebook, and Google. All of the reasons he was banned had to do with January 1st, or not 1st, 6th, I mean.
Which is when, like, the insurrection.
The insurrection. So the riot. So people say he kind of, like, used social media to encourage violence or induce violence, and actually on Facebook, apparently he praised protesters who took part in the January 6th riots. So they all have to do with the insurrection.
Yeah.
So he was banned, and all 3 companies cited concerns that he would initiate more violence.
Okay.
So yeah.
So Facebook, Twitter, and also Google are major companies, right?
Yeah, they are.
So it's kind of going to take a big hit for his image if he loses those platforms.
Yeah.
Which I assume is why he's mad, right?
Yeah. So he pressed lawsuits saying they violated his First Amendment, or saying they violated censorship. So censorship is basically quieting someone's voice or suppressing someone's opinion, and the First Amendment is freedom of speech. So he's basically saying, you're not letting me have freedom of speech. You're not letting me say what I want to say. I should be able to say whatever I want, based on the First Amendment. So, and he specifically aimed the lawsuits at the CEOs of these companies.
Okay.
So Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, and Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter. So, yeah.
So he's just he's pressing charges. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll let you know if anything further happens in this lawsuit.
Yeah. So we're seeing what happens. We don't know if his lawsuits are going to actually follow through. We'll see.
Right. So our next headline is that President Joe Biden pitches the American Families Plan.
Yeah.
Which is okay. So if you watched our previous news updates, which will be on Spotify, they're not on YouTube. But if you watched them, then you would know that we talked about the infrastructure plan that was bipartisan and was agreed on by the Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
So this is the second part of it, right?
Yeah. So the first part was traditional infrastructure. The second part is the American Families Plan.
Yeah. So the first part was more bridges and roads and stuff,
railways.
Yeah. But this one is more about humanities, healthcare and college and education and stuff like that. So this is part of the humanities plan, and Biden pitched his plan for this, and it included things regarding free childcare, universal free kindergarten for everyone in the U.S. The first 2 years of community college will be free for anyone who attends community college, and he's also working on several other things that are part of it. But those are the main things. And he pitched this in Illinois.
Right.
It's part of the human package that we talked about, and it focuses on social programs. And an interesting thing about this is he's planning to do this without any bipartisan votes.
Oh, so is it just Democratic?
Yeah, and a lot of people are thinking how is that possible with filibusters and all that stuff. But the reason that this could be possible is because there's a thing called reconciliation, and that's basically a thing where with any legislation regarding something like taxes, spending, funding, whatever, anything regarding a lot of money, basically, there is a way that you only need a majority of the vote.
Oh,
and so in our Senate right now, there's 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But we have the Democrats have the Vice President Kamala Harris, who could break that tie.
So then it would be 51 to 50, so it would be majority.
Yeah. So they could pass this without any votes from Republicans.
Really? That's interesting.
And that's what they're hoping to do. They're hoping to do that because they're not really willing to compromise on any of these things.
Yeah. I think on the infrastructure they were willing to compromise, but on this part of it, no.
Yeah. And Biden's just I want it to be bipartisan, but
it's not realistic. It's not realistic.
It's not about this because he's very strong about how he wants healthcare to be.
Yeah, and for something like this, it's hard for the parties to agree. That at a certain point, you just gotta be okay,
whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, so the next headline is about Pope's colon. So Pope, he's the supreme pontiff, or the Roman pontiff. So he's like the bishop of Rome. He's basically the head of the worldwide Catholic Church.
Yeah, he's like the main. A lot of people look up to him. He's Pope Francis, and he's like the head of the state of the Vatican.
Yeah,
you know, which is like the central headquarters.
The headquarters for the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah, definitely.
So he recently underwent surgery for his colon. So he has a condition called diverticular.
Symptomatic diverticular stenosis.
Stenosis, yeah. So his colon is too narrow.
Yeah. So they're gonna like, they didn't really provide much information on what they're doing.
But
basically they just gonna do surgery. He was admitted into a Jamili Polyclinic, and he underwent the evening planned surgery. And he's all of his spokespeople said that he was doing well. And I hope that he's doing well. I think he is.
Yeah, I think he's generally in good health, apparently. He did have part of one lung removed when he was younger, and he suffers from sciatica, which is like a nerve affecting the lower back and leg, so it can be really painful. But he is doing well. So
and
that's
he's elderly, so he's not young, but he hasn't been admitted often, so this is kind of rare, but it's also good because I feel like he hasn't had that many issues, with the sciatica. That's kind of like a given.
It's not super uncommon. So he's doing well, which is great to hear. So now we're gonna go into the two shootings that took place. So the first one is actually a 16-year-old. That's a teenager. That's really crazy. So it happened in New York City.
Again.
So
New York's all over the headlines
today. The crazy thing about this is that, by the way, I just want to say, this happened in New York City. Did I say that?
Yeah. New York City's all over the headlines.
It is. So he was arrested on Wednesday. So what happened? It's so weird how it took place. So on June 27th, on the corner of 7th Avenue and 46th Street, according to New York Times, the gun violence stemmed from an argument that this 16-year-old teenager had with a breakdancer the previous night. So the teen,
how did that happen?
So basically, the teen allegedly walked in front of the performer, and then the day after, the teen and the person they were arguing with continued the argument, and the teen just decides to pull out a gun and open fire. But
oh my god, that's
horrible. the bullet ricocheted, and it didn't even hit the intended target. That's crazy.
That is insane to me.
He hit Samuel Pauline, 21 years old. He was grazed in the back by one of the bullets. He was standing outside of Starbucks, had nothing to do with this. But he was not even the intended target. So he was visiting from Manhattan, from upstate New York, and that's just crazy. So, the teen who fired the gun was Avon Darden, and he turned himself into the Midtown South Police. So he was charged with attempted murder, assault, reckless endangerment, and criminal possession of a weapon for shooting. And he had actually had prior arrests and criminal history.
Oh, wow.
And I think the person who was grazed by the bullet, Samuel Pauline, I think he's injured, but
he's okay, right?
Yeah, he's okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Our next headline is that 3 law enforcement officers actually got shot in Chicago.
Yeah, so another shooting. So 3 undercover law enforcement officers were shot in Chicago on Wednesday, and 2 of them were from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and one was just an officer in Chicago. So the shooting took place near the 22nd District Police Station in the Morgan Park neighborhood. Yeah. So they were in an undercover vehicle that was unmarked, and it's not disclosed yet whether the shooter knew that the people were law enforcement officers or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So the officers were on their way to an assignment, and so they were shot. One of the agents was injured on the side of the torso. one was grazed in the head, and one was struck in the hand. So they have all been reported to be in stable condition, though.
Okay.
So none of them died. So one was female and 2 were male, by the way, and they were all senior officers.
Okay.
So the attack, this is kind of a big deal because Chicago has been having a lot of shootings lately. So the attack brings the total of Chicago officers shot this year to 36 officers. And Chicago Police Superintendent Brown said, quote, "They're doing their part and no one would do what these officers are doing right now. This is a very challenging time to be in law enforcement right now. They're rising to the challenge, doing all they can. The work they do is extremely dangerous." So yeah, it seems that a lot of law enforcement officers specifically have been shot lately. Yeah.
I think a lot of people know that Chicago is known for being sort of like very city filled with gangs and violence. Crime in general. So I wouldn't say I'm really surprised about this, but it is sad.
Yeah,
it is sad.
Yeah. So Chicago Alderman Matt O'Shea urged President Biden to come to Chicago and offer assistance to the city, saying that 100,000 armed gang members are wreaking havoc on the city. Like Ahana said, there's a lot of gangs and crimes. So Biden is visiting the Chicago area soon to meet with Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and they are going to discuss. They'll discuss like rising violence and gun control, stuff like that. So, and there is questioning happening about the alleged suspect, a quote, person of interest.
All right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well,
all right.
We'll keep an eye on that and tell you how their meeting goes as well.
Yeah.
But our next headline is about the Pentagon, which is
yes. So, basically, this has to do with like contracts. So it's at first it sounds kind of confusing. So the Pentagon cancels $108 billion Jedi cloud contract.
Okay.
So the contract was going to create a cloud computing system for the Pentagon, which is like a delivery of different services through the internet, for example, like Google Apps, like Google Drives. So the Department of Defense said that the contract was canceled because of changing requirements, tech advances, and like changing needs that the military needed, that the Microsoft contract couldn't offer.
All right.
So it was awarded to Microsoft. The contract was awarded to Microsoft over Amazon, which was kind of controversial because Amazon is considered to be one of the most like advanced systems. So this happened during the Trump administration, by the way.
Okay. So basically, the Trump administration chose Microsoft over Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. So by the way, Jedi stands for Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure. I'm
not like Star Wars.
Not Star Wars. We're not talking about Star Wars here. But the new contract they're going to be signing with a new contract, JWCC, Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability. So it has more advanced systems that fit their needs better. So the Jedi contract would have resulted in Microsoft building a cloud storage system for sensitive data and technology from the military. They need like a secure system for the military.
Okay.
Definitely. It's like for stuff like artificial intelligence. So it just didn't fit their needs. So it was very controversial that Microsoft was chosen. And yeah, at the time, Amazon filed a complaint with the U.S. Court of Federal Claims saying that like there was an ulterior motive for picking Microsoft over Amazon because, in case you didn't know, so President at the time, who's Donald Trump, he like hates Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos is the CEO.
He's the CEO.
Of Amazon.
Yeah.
So they hate each other. So that's they're assuming that's why he
Amazon was saying he was politically motivated by the president at the time.
Okay.
So in March of 2020, the Department of Defense said it wanted to reconsider, and that so they're now going to be signing with they're going to offer deals to Amazon Web Services. So so that's what's happening.
I think it's important to mention that the Pentagon has been breached like a couple times. There was a really big breach earlier by like I think Russian cybersecurity.
Yeah, and it's important to keep this security information secure
because it has like it's our country. I mean,
it's the safety of our country. Yeah. So I think that's everything we had.
Okay, let's do our fun news for the week. What do you think it is?
You tell me yours first, because I can't think of anything.
I'm going to do one from my life, because don't have any extra news. I was looking for extra fun news and I literally couldn't.
I forgot to even look. I mean, sort of. Okay.
You can go ahead if you have one.
No, you go.
Okay.
Because I'm still thinking.
My one is that 4th of July happened this week, and it was fun, and we had like a small gathering of vaccinated individuals, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah. And my dogs, they are so cute. I'm gonna show you a picture while Celine tells hers. Okay.
So I get to go on vacation for like 3 days, I think. 2 nights, 3 days, something like that. But we're going somewhere and we're gonna go like hiking and we're taking our dog. So it's the first time we're taking our dog on vacation. So that's gonna be interesting. So I'm excited because he gets to try swimming in like lakes. So that's gonna be fun.
All right, here are my dogs. Just for you guys.
Wait,
They're in full 4th of July.
I wish I could show you my dog, but I don't have my phone with me.
Oh, I can show them.
Do you have a picture?
I do.
You do.
I'll show them.
We do.
But it's a fun time and summer's coming to an end.
I think this is my favorite part of summer because also 4th of July was fun and then we went shopping together.
This is Celine's dog. He's cute.
His name's Teddy.
He's Teddy.
Yeah, so I like July so far because 4th of July we got to go shopping.
Yeah.
We've done the podcast.
We went shopping recently.
We did.
Anyway.
All right.
Follow us on all of our socials, which will be added in the bio. All of the sources we used will be added in the bio. And also our website and email if you want to contact us about suggestions for episodes, any confusing things for business or whatever. Let us know, and please connect with us on our social media so that we can spread the word of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, so thanks for your support and thanks for listening.
Bye!
Bye!